Hey guys, welcome back. And in today's video, I'm going to be doing a 2-round post-draft combine mock draft. Right off the bat, you can see we did a trade. The Colts have the number 1 overall pick. That's the only trade in this video. Don't really know how to predict other trades. Carolina, I think, could move up with Arizona. You could see Tampa Bay moving here, maybe. I just don't know how to predict it, so I'm not gonna. But the Bears are more than likely going to trade back. So I think the Colts, my team, are going to be the team to make that move. But before I get into it, make sure you guys hit that like button, subscribe if you are new, and let's take a closer look at kind of where I have these guys going after the combine. Right off the bat, we're going to do things a little bit differently here. With the number 1 overall pick in the 2023 NFL Draft, the Indianapolis Colts select Anthony Richardson. The way this kid played at the combine, it's kind of hard to deny this kid's talent. Ran an incredible 40, great 10-yard split, jumped off the charts, broke records. His arm is ridiculous. I could see the Colts going out, signing a vet for this year, whether that's a Marcus Mariota, bring Jacoby Brissett back. Maybe you find a guy like that. You can sit Richardson for a year and develop under Shane Steichen, similar to what Jalen Hurts did. I don't think Anthony Richardson should start day one. Maybe the Colts go out and do it. I think ultimately if the Colts trade up to number 1, it will be Bryce Young. But this is going to be a little bit of a different mock. I think Richardson, after what he showed, want to show him some love. So I got him at the number 1 pick. Houston at number 2, they're the team that will get Bryce Young. Bryce Young, really small. And he looked smaller than I thought he was at the combine. Didn't throw at the combine, so we got to wait till his pro day. He's still an incredible player, and I'm going to actually enlarge this for you guys. He's still an incredible player. We'll see what ends up happening with Bryce Young, but I think he will be in the top 3, probably number 1 overall ultimately. I've got him going here at number 2. The Arizona Cardinals get the easiest pick of this entire draft, and they could take Will Anderson Jr. out of Alabama. Probably my number 1 player on the board now. We'll get to why in just a little bit. Will Anderson's a dominant edge rusher, especially with Zach Allen as a free agent. J.J. Watt, they need a pass rusher. I think Will Anderson is a fantastic player. He's going to be an immediate impact guy. I think this is a perfect fit. And I'm going to take a bit of a curveball. We got the Bears trading back with the Colts. Jalen Carter's been my pick here forever. The Jalen Carter legal stuff, I think, will cause him to drop a little bit. For that reason, I'm going to take Tyree Wilson, which I don't even think is that much worth of a pick. They could use a really good pass rusher, and I think Tyree Wilson has the ability to play on the inside of your defensive line, and this is a really good spot for him. So I like Tyree Wilson to go at 4 here to the Chicago Bears. At 5, the Seattle Seahawks have a very interesting decision. They could go with an edge rusher here. If they want to go Myles Murphy, I think this makes a ton of sense. They could go D-line, though, and take Jalen Carter, which, again, I think makes a lot of sense. You could use some help in the defensive line. But C.J. Stroud is sitting here on the board. And I kind of want to do it because Stroud played fantastic at the combine. And there's rumors that if Seattle's not able to reach a long-term deal with Geno, they're not going to franchise tag him, making him a free agent. Could Geno leave? And even if he does stay, quarterback could still be in need. Yeah, I'm going to take C.J. Stroud here to the Seattle Seahawks. Great situation for him to go into. Whether he sits for a year or starts, I think he's going to be a great fit here, which really has got to frustrate the Panthers. If they want to trade up, this would probably be a trade-up spot where they could move up with Detroit to try and take Will Levis, because maybe Vegas wants him. Maybe Detroit tries and do the same thing Seattle just did. They won't do that, but I like that here. And then we got Detroit here. And they're the team that's going to bite on Jalen Carter. Jalen Carter's talent is too good to pass up on. He's not going to serve jail time. I think this is a really good situation for Jalen Carter. It makes sense. I'm going to make that move here. And we've got the Raiders here at 7. What do the Raiders do? Do they take Will Levis? Honestly, it's really in play here. I could even see them going tackle if they want to go with a right tackle here. I think that makes sense. Will Levis, to me, makes a ton of sense here because you need another you need a quarterback. They have interest in bringing Stidham back. I don't think he's your long-term answer. There's a number of ways they can go here, but I'm going to take Will Levis. I just feel like that's the right pick at this point. You're at number 7. I think he fits the team a little bit. Whether he starts or sits, whether you go get a veteran, I think Will Levis makes a lot of sense. Too good of a talent to pass up on. The upside is there, and him at number 7, which means Carolina doesn't get their quarterback. So we'll see what ends up happening with them at pick 9. But at pick 8, I'm going to take Lucas Van Ness out of Iowa. I think he is going to go ahead of Myles Murphy. He's been testing off the charts. He looks fantastic. He's young. He's powerful. Did a whole video on Lucas Van Ness. I think his fit in Atlanta is a dream fit for both sides, and I absolutely love Lucas Van Ness there. At number 9, this right here is where we will see Myles Murphy taken. Really considered going Bijan Robinson here because Dante Foreman is a free agent. They don't have any running backs that I really trust. Chuba Hubbard's not the guy. You need to add another pass rusher opposite side of Brian Burns. Myles Murphy makes a ton of sense. Both incredible speed rushers. And I think if Myles Murphy can improve a little bit in the run game, that could be one of the best pass rushing duos in the NFL. Then at number 10, we just mentioned him. I'm taking Bijan Robinson. Bijan Robinson is going to go in the top 12. I think he has been fantastic, been getting a ton of buzz. People are starting to really come around to the idea that a running back could and will go in the top 20, maybe top 15. Bijan Robinson is a otherworldly talent at the combine, was fantastic. Miles Sanders is a free agent. The Eagles could use some more running back depth. I don't think Kenneth Gainwell's the number 1. I really like Bijan Robinson here. I know some people are going to disagree with it. Bijan Robinson makes a ton of sense to the Eagles with their cap situation. It doesn't look like Sanders is going to come back. I'm going to take Bijan here. At number 11, the Tennessee Titans, I'm going to take Broderick Jones. I think he's the best tackle on the board. Fits a more physical, hard-nosed style of football that I think the Titans want to play, and I like that about Broderick Jones. Like his fit quite a bit here. This is a really, really tough pick for me with the Texans because Nolan Smith was fantastic at the combine, but I really, really like them going Peter Skoronski here and moving him to guard. Kenyon Green was not very good as a rookie. Skoronski could play tackle, whether that's a right tackle for you. I think I am going to take Peter Skoronski here. Makes a ton of sense. Play him at guard, pair him with Laramie Tunsil. I know Nolan Smith was great at the combine. I know. A little too high for me. I know D'Amico Ryan's going to want to go defense. It's a really good edge class. You can get a good edge rusher down the board. I've got them going Skoronski here at 12, which leaves the Jets to go with Paris Johnson Jr. I've tried to tinker around with the idea of them going Brian Branch before, and it makes sense, but I think Paris Johnson is a really good fit. They need tackle, especially after Dwayne Brown retired. Like Paris Johnson Jr. a lot here. This is where Christian Gonzalez is going to go off the board. CB1 for me, CB1A, B, and C between Witherspoon, Porter, Gonzalez. They all have their different strengths. New England likes to address corner in the draft. Jonathan Jones is a free agent. Christian Gonzalez, best corner on the board. Makes a ton of sense. I think New England goes there at 14. At 15, this is where Nolan Smith will come off the board. Pairing him with his former college teammate in Quay Walker, who had a really solid rookie season. Nolan Smith is a dominant pass rusher. I think he will go in the top 20, and it makes a lot of sense here. They need some pass rush help. Their pass rush is a little weak. You could maybe go Brian Branch there. You could maybe go with a couple other guys, but really like the fit of Nolan Smith in Green Bay. I think they need pass rush, and that's what I'm going to give them. At number 16, the Washington Commanders are going to go with Devon Witherspoon. Didn't have the most amazing combine week. He didn't. But I think that his talent, his tape is too good to deny. He's a little undersized, sure, maybe not the fastest, but Devon Witherspoon can play, and I love his fit here to Washington at 16. At 17, I'm looking at this board, and I kind of want to go a little crazy here. Do I want to do it? Because I'm considering a couple of things here. There are a few names that are popping up. Kalijah Kancey, I think, could be a nice player here. He was great at the combine. Keep the Pitt kid in Pitt, second year in a row. I don't mind that. But going Jordan Addison, I'm going to do it. I'm going to go Jordan Addison here at 17. I'll explain why. There were talks at the combine that Jordan Addison wants to play in Pittsburgh. Kenny Pickett is trying to get the front office to take him. Jordan Addison is the perfect wide receiver to take for the Steelers. I know they need corner. I know that. I know they need defensive line. They've got 2 second-round picks in a pretty solid corner class. Defensive line, you can draft at 32. Kancey or Brzee will be there. I can guarantee you that. I think you could go wide receiver here. You need another weapon here. I'm going to take Jordan Addison here. Do I think he had the best combine? No. Talent is too good to pass on, and that's Kenny Pickett's guy. I'm going to do it. At 18, we got the Detroit Lions, who got to be thrilled right now that somehow Joey Porter fell all the way down the board at 18. What a draft for them to get Jalen Carter falling, Joey Porter falling. Joey Porter is a great cornerback. Physical, tough, incredible wingspan, big hand. He's going to be a lockdown, incredible player for them for a long time. And I think Detroit just got themselves a CB1 and a monster on the interior of their defensive line. For the Buccaneers, they're going to go corner here. I'm going to take Deonte Banks out of Maryland. This is a guy who tested out incredibly well at the combine. Great speed. He's been jumping up draft boards for a few weeks now. And now I think it's time we start to see that materialize here. He's going to go in my first round here. I like Tampa as the team to make it with Jamel Dean, Sean Murphy-Bunting as free agents. Go Deonte Banks. Cam Smith was great as well. Cam Smith will get taken here in just a little bit. At number 20, we've got the Seattle Seahawks. They could go a number of ways here. I love O'Cyrus Torrence here. I think that pick makes a lot of sense. I also like the idea of them going edge. I think you could go with a few of these edge rushers. You could go wide receiver as well. Brian Branch, still on the board. There's a number of ways they could go. You could even go with Brian Brzee here. Kalijah Kancey could go here. Could go with Drew Sanders to be a pass rusher. A lot of ways they could go. I'm going to take O'Cyrus Torrence. O'Cyrus Torrence is, in my opinion, the best interior offensive lineman in this draft. True interior offensive lineman. A lot of guys you can move to guard at the tackles. I think this is a dream. You get a guard, you get a quarterback here, and a guard that can really take this team to the next level. You got 2 really good tackles. You need to address the interior. I know center is a need as well. John Michael Schmitz is a guy I like a lot as well. But I'm going to go with O'Cyrus Torrence, get a good guard, and we'll see what he ends up meaning to this team. For the Chargers at 21, I'm going to go with Jackson Smith-Njigba. Great combine for Njigba. Really showed his healthy, showed his quickness again. This is a guy who, had he not got injured, would probably be the first wide receiver off the board and might even go in the top 15. Unfortunately, we had the injuries. Jackson Smith-Njigba is a baller, and I think the Chargers would be getting themselves a massive weapon if they were able to snag him here at 21, which leaves Quentin Johnston to go at 22 to the Baltimore Ravens, another team. Who knows what's going to happen with Lamar Jackson? I talked about that in my last video. Who knows what's going to happen with that situation? They still need to go receiver regardless. Quentin Johnston is, in my opinion, the best receiver in this draft. He's a big 6'4" receiver, can run like a slot guy, great hands. Yes, some people have questioned his physicality. I'm not too worried about that. He's shown he can be a physical wide receiver. And Baltimore needs a deep ball threat. Quentin Johnston is the guy for me to do that here. At 22, at 23, we got the Minnesota Vikings. We talked about Cam Smith. He's going to come off the board here, which might even be a steal. He ran a 4.4 at the combine, which shocked a lot of people. He's one of my favorite corners. I put him right up there with Deonte Banks and Joey Porter. This physicality is incredible. Probably one of the best tacklers at the corner position in this draft. Physical, strong. I absolutely love this kid. And I think Minnesota is getting themselves a really good player here at 23. At 24, I'm going to go with Brian Branch. Can play in the nickel, can play safety, which I think is a pretty big need still for the Jags. Go get Brian Branch. If he falls this low, I would be shocked if they wouldn't go here. This pick is a match made in heaven, really. At number 25, we got the Giants. I'm going to go with Jalen Hyatt. Another guy, good frame on him, speedy receiver. Pairing him with Wan'Dale Robinson would be great. I have no idea what's going to happen with this Giants team because Either Saquon or Daniel Jones will be a free agent if they can't come up with an extension for both of them ASAP. And they're going to need to add some weapons after the season they just had. Jalen Hyatt's a great receiver, and I think is a awesome player for the Giants to be snagging here at 25. Got to watch him up close this season as a Tennessee guy, and he's a really good player. The Cowboys at 26 is such a hard pick for me to make. I'm going to take Zay Flowers here. They need a speedy receiver. What T.Y. Hilton was trying to be, he's a younger version of that. Guy you can put in the slot next to Gallup and Lamb, and he can run his tail off. I mean, he's super quick. He's a good weapon to have. Yes, he's a bit smaller, but that's why you pair him alongside two bigger receivers in Gallup and Lamb. I like Zay Flowers here to Dallas. I think they would be getting themselves a really nice weapon at 26. Buffalo's in a spot where I don't think they want to be in because I like any of the interior offensive line guys here. I think would be huge. Steve Avila is a guy I'm highly, highly considering taking. Jahmyr Gibbs is a guy I'm highly considering taking as well, and he was great at the combine. You need running back, but I am going to go with Steve Avila. I know that might be a little bit low. He's ranked number 63 on this site, but I think Steve Avila makes a lot of sense here. They need some interior offensive line help. Their offensive line was not good last year, and they need to address it. So Steve Avila is going to be the pick for Buffalo here at 27. Probably going to throw some people off, but I think that's a really good selection for them. Then we got the Cincinnati Bengals. Now, this is where I'm going to go a little bit crazy. Now, hear me out on this one. I'm taking Jahmyr Gibbs. The need to probably address the running back room. Joe Mixon is likely going to get cut. He's a cap casualty for them. Jahmyr Gibbs is a receiving back. He's a speedy running back and is a perfect complement to Samaje Perine. He's also a really good receiving back, as I mentioned. You need another receiver for Burrow in that backfield. Pairing him with Higgins and Chase. Tight end, I know is a need. Offensive tackle, I know is a need. This tight end class, you can find value in round 3. Jahmyr Gibbs is too good of a talent to pass on here for me. Find the Bengals, especially if Joe Mixon does get cut, which I expect him to get cut. This is the move I'm making if I'm the Cincinnati Bengals. At 29, I'm taking Kalijah Kancey for the New Orleans Saints. They need some interior defensive line help in the worst way possible, and they're going to do it here. I think this is a no-brainer pick for them. Take some interior defensive line help. Kalijah Kancey, a little undersized, sure, but man, the production is there. I'm taking him at 29. The Eagles, they're going to go with an edge rusher here. I'm a big fan of Keon White out of Georgia Tech. Inside, outside versatility. Production was there at Georgia Tech. I think he's a really nice player. And I think the Eagles need to address pass rush. Brandon Graham's a free agent. You need to add some pieces there. And Keon White is the best player on the board at the position, in my opinion. So I'm going to take him there. Similarly to the Jahmyr Gibbs pick, I'm going to take another luxury pick, you could say. I'm going to take Michael Mayer to the Kansas City Chiefs. Now, do I think he's the best tight end on the board? No, but most solid all around. And I think that Kansas City needs to look to find a Travis Kelce replacement. I saw this in another mock draft. I thought it was a really interesting idea, and I kind of like it. I'm going to experiment with it on this one. Let me know what you guys think. Kansas City taking a tight end in round 1. The Steelers are on the board at 32. You get to go corner here. And Kaylee Ringo still being on the board is a really good value pick. I know he has question marks in coverage. He didn't look good against Marvin Harrison Jr. Nobody looked good against Marvin Harrison Jr. this year. He was one of the best college receivers we've ever seen. Kaylee Ringo, good size. He's fast. Maybe not the most explosive as we saw at the combine, but I still believe in Kaylee Ringo. I think he falls to round 2, but if you get him here, the Steelers can pair him on this defense, and I think he makes sense here. At number 33, the Houston Texans, I think you have to go with an edge rusher or defensive lineman. And I'm going to go with Adi Tamiwa out of Baware out of Northwestern. Yeah, this pick is going to throw people off. I think he has been a fringe first-round guy. I've seen him thrown higher than this in a lot of mock drafts. And I think he's going to fall a little bit to the second round, maybe late first if Kansas City wanted to take him or if Philadelphia. But they need some defensive line help. I feel like D'Amico Ryans would absolutely love this guy. tested incredibly well at the combine. He's got good production, played well at Northwestern in his collegiate career. I'm going to take him here at 33. Arizona at 34. They would have loved to have Jahmyr Gibbs on the board here, but I'm going to take another corner, a little bit undersized. Actually, no, I'm not going to go there. I'm going to go with Tyreek Stevenson. At first, I was thinking I was going to take Emmanuel Forbes. Tyreek Stevenson's a really good player. Another guy. His pre-draft process has been great. Great Senior Bowl. Was really good at the combine. And I think he has jumped a lot of these guys here. I think he has really high potential here to even go in round 1. Tyreek Stevenson of the Arizona Cardinals is going to be the selection, especially if Byron Murphy doesn't come back. You double down on defense as your first 2 picks. The Bears, this is the pick they got from the Colts, and I'm going to take Josh Downs. I like the idea of having a more speedy receiver on this team, and I'm going to do that. I like the speed of Josh Downs with Chase Claypool, Darnell Mooney. Is that the best receiver that they could have gotten? At this point, yes, but, kind of what happens. This is not a receiver deep draft necessarily. The Bears get him at 35. The Rams, this is another spot where I would really consider going into your offensive lineman. I like Cody Mock a ton. Luke Weipler, Joe Tippmann were fine, but I'm not going to do it. I got to go BJ Ojulari out of LSU, a speed rusher. You need some help on the edge. You need to create pressure on the opposing team's quarterback, and I think BJ Ojulari gives you a really good chance to do that. I know I'm going to get flamed in the comments for having Brian Brzee fall all the way down to 37, and I'm actually going to have him fall a little bit lower than that because I think now I'm going to take Brian Brzee here. The value is too good to pass on. Brian Brzee is such a question mark for me. He could go as high as the top 20 and fall to about this range for me. I have no idea what to expect with him because he didn't have a ton of production at Clemson, but we've seen flashes there. We've seen the athleticism on display at the combine. So what is his range in the NFL draft? I have no idea. And just kind of the way the board fell, I've got Brian Brzee here. I know not a lot of people are going to agree with that or like that. That's just what I think. I think he might fall to the second round. That leaves the Raiders too easily. No-brainer pick here. I'm going to take Emmanuel Forbes. Yeah. Didn't test out, I think, amazingly. Super undersized. I believe he was like 5'11", 166 pounds. I think he might even be shorter than that. I can't think of his height. He was 166 pounds. For reference, I'm 166 pounds. I have no chance of locking down a guy like Devontae Adams or Justin Jefferson one-on-one. They would physically abuse me. He plays at about 175. I think Emmanuel Forbes is a good corner, really good corner. And we saw a ball hawking corner. Maybe he has another similar effect to like a Tariq Woolen. I'm not giving him that comparison, but I'll be interested to see kind of where he goes. I like this fit for the Raiders, though. I'm going to take a tight end here. Dalton Kincaid's still on the board. The Panthers desperately need tight end. Ian Thomas should be cut. Tommy Trimble's not the guy. You can go Kincaid, Miles Murphy with no quarterback here. I think the Panthers are actually making out pretty nicely right now. Kincaid didn't test at the combine, but is still a very nice piece. And I like what he could bring to a team. Speaking of a tight end that tested out nicely, Darnell Washington, welcome to the club. That catch he had, I did a short on it. You guys can check it out. Incredible catch. His speed at about 6'7", ran a very nice 40. This guy is legit, and he showed it. I really liked what he showed. And the Saints need a tight end. Taysom Hill can't be your tight end. Adam Troutman can't be your tight end. You need to go get a tight end. Darnell Washington here is the selection for me. I'm going to take a wide receiver again here. We're not taking Kayshon Boutte. No. It's going to be Rashee Rice out of SMU. Like what he showed. Think he's a solid receiver. Not much more to it. I don't think he's going to wow anybody. I think he's a nice compliment to Treylon Burks, and I think he's a nice selection here for the Titans. At 42, man, the linebackers continuing to fall. I'm going to take one here. No, I'm not. I'm going to take Antonio Johnson. This is assuming they don't get Jesse Bates, but I expect them to sign Jesse Bates. John Johnson's got cut. They need some safety help. Pretty self-explanatory. Not the same guy he was when they signed him. I like this for the Browns. Linebacker here. Talk about the Jets getting Paris Johnson, and then they can go out. I'm going to take Drew Sanders here. I'm actually going to, with my very next pick, take Trenton Simpson because I think linebacker is still a need for the Falcons, and they could double down on defense. I know receivers a need, not a receiver worth taking at this point in the draft. Both these linebackers have different strengths. I think Trenton Simpson's a little bit better in coverage, but Drew Sanders a little bit better as a pass rusher. I think this would be a nice pickup for both of these squads. Atlanta getting Simpson, a pair with Arnold Ebiketie, Drew Sanders to the Jets. Green Bay, they're going to go with Luke Musgrave, a guy who I'm a big fan of personally. I think he's a really solid piece, and I like what he could bring to the Packers, who Robert Tunnion's a free agent. They need to address tight end in this draft. The Patriots, I know wide receiver, people are going to want wide receiver, but I'm not going to do it. DeJuan Jones still on the board. No-brainer pick for me there. You need offensive tackle help. Isaiah Wynn's a free agent. Makes sense there. Darnell Wright to the Commanders at 47. Another pick I just absolutely love for them. I know I'm not going to take a tight end because Lions fans always get mad that you take tight end. I'm going to go with an edge here. I'm going to take my guy. I'm going to take Felix Anudike-Uzomah. I love this kid. Great. He was fantastic at Kansas State. Think he is going to be a very nice player at the next level. I'm trying to think here. Yeah. This is definitely going to be Anton Harrison for the Steelers. You need some offensive line help. And if Anton Harrison falls this low, I would be shocked. Honestly, there were some teams here. I was looking back because I'm like, which teams could have gone tackle here? Because you could have seen the Bears go tackle here with Harrison Jones right on the board. The Cardinals could have gone tackle. I just think they had more pressing needs for me. I could have even gone Raiders tackle. Saints could have gone with an offensive lineman. No, they have a good line. I mean, it's just kind of the way the board fell. I'm not in love with it. I think some of these offensive linemen will be higher, but I mean, when you have some fallers like Tyreek Stevenson fall here, you had, who else did I say? Emmanuel Forbes fall. I think the way the board fell, it worked out pretty nicely for these teams. Steelers get one of the best pass protecting corners in this, or pass protecting linemen in this draft. So I like that for them. I'm going to take Will McDonald the fourth here. Edge rush is a need for Tampa, and you go with an edge rusher for sure at 50. 51, we're going to select Devin A-Chain out of Texas A&M. This guy is electric, ran a 4.3 40-yard dash. He's got incredible speed. He's a little bit smaller, but I think this is a really good pickup if I am the Miami Dolphins, who need a running back desperately, by the way. This has to be, to me, this is a spot where I look to go wide receiver. I'm going to go with Cedric Tillman out of Tennessee. Dealt with some injuries, but still a really solid player. I think he's got a lot of upside. I'm going to select him here to the Seahawks, a team that needs a corner or wide receiver. Well, I keep thinking every position's a corner. I don't know what's going on. It's late. We're going to go with a interior offensive lineman here for the Bears. John Michael Schmidt's still on the board. One of the best centers in this draft. You need some offensive line help to protect Fields. John Michael Schmidt is that guy for me. The Chargers, they could go tight end here as well. Tucker Kraft and Sam Laporta still on the board. I'm going to take some interior offensive line, though. I'm going to take Cody Mock out of North Dakota State. You need some guys to help protect Justin Herbert. I know you drafted Zion Johnson last year. Add another guard here is key. If Cody Mock is on the board here, I think that's a really good selection for the Chargers. We've got the Lions on the board again. I want to go with a running back here, but I just don't love any of the names. I just don't think any of these guys are worth going here. I don't want to keep going tight end, even though Brock Wright is a free agent. You need to address that. I don't think any of the safeties are worth taking here. So I'm going to please Lions fan. I'm going to go 4 defensive picks. I'm going to go Jack Campbell, a linebacker who I really like. was one of the best players. I believe he won the award for best linebacker in the nation. Really good player. And I think he's going to go high. This is the spot I've got him at. For the Jaguars, we're going to go, man, this is interesting. Tackles in play here. I'm going to take Matthew Bergeron here to continue to protect Trevor Lawrence. I like him on that right side, especially with Jawan Taylor being a free agent. I think he's going to have a really good market in free agency. Matthew Bergeron on the right side, like that selection for them. At 57, we have the New York Giants. Interesting spot here. Once again, I think corner is going to be the selection here. And I'm going to take DJ Turner out of Michigan. This dude has incredible speed on him. Good production at Michigan, was a little bit inconsistent at times, but I think he flew up boards. He's going to be my selection here. Another guy that I think flew up boards, well, we're going to go with Dion Henley, I think. Yeah, I'm going to take Dion Henley here to the Cowboys. They need linebacker. Leighton Vander Esch is a free agent. Dion Henley's really good. Think he's going to be a second-round pick. Think he is jumped up, and I think the Cowboys make sense. Buffalo. I'm going to take Zach Charbonnet here. Do I love it? No, because I don't think he's like the best option you could go with, but he's a good player. They need running back. I'm going to select that there. Offensive tackle, Jalen Duncan. They're going to pass on tight end again because, look, you still got players. Laporta, Tucker Kraft, even down the board. Cameron Latu, Zach Kuntz, Will Mallory. I mean, you've got players down the board that could be really good players for you long term. Jalen Duncan gives you some security on that offensive line, which Joe Burrow desperately needs. That's the selection for me there. For the Panthers at 61, I mean, I'm considering going, I would consider running back. I don't like the running backs here on the board. I'm going to go with Clark Phillips III. Yeah, I think he fell a lot. Really, really small. And that's my concern with him. But this is a good situation for him where he doesn't have to be the lead corner because you got J.C. Horn. You got Dante Jackson when healthy. I think this is a good secondary for him to slot into and be a nice piece for them. So that's going to be the pick here. And then another pick a little bit down the board. They have him undervalued at 99. Julius Brents has jumped into my 2 rounds. Dude was incredible at the combine, was really good at the Senior Bowl as well. I could see him getting some buzz here to go in the first 2 rounds. So I'm going to do it for the Eagles. At 63, we're going to go with an edge rusher. Some really good options still on the board. Isaiah Foskey, I thought, tested out pretty well at the combine. A guy who I even considered taking with their first pick. Falls all the way down the board here at 63. And the Chiefs pair George Karlaftis with Isaiah Foskey. And then the last pick here, I'm going to take I don't even know where to go here. Let's look at the board, see who the best guys are. Ika, I don't think goes. I don't think Mozzie Smith goes either. Could see you maybe going interior defensive line here. I'm going to go with, yeah, there's some good options here. I'm going to go with Keanu Benton out of Wisconsin. A good interior defensive line guy. I think he makes a ton of sense there. But that's going to do it for me in this video, guys. That's going to do it for me in this video. Make sure you guys hit that like button. Subscribe if you are new. Let me know what you guys agree with and disagree with. I know we had some tackles fall a little bit further. I think you can find value down the board. Blake Freeland, you had some really solid tackles testers today. I think you can find value. Tight end was a big need. And I mean, there were some droppers in this one. So I think it makes sense for what happened in this draft. Let me know what picks you guys agree with, which picks you guys disagree with. That's going to do it for me. I'll see you guys in the next one. Adios.